Now, another aspect of this concept of parallel addiction is the concept that each person, the addict and the co-addict and the family member. Okay, start over. Another aspect of the concept of parallel addiction is that both parties begin to violate their own value system. And the result of that is shame, guilt, and despair. So, the alcoholic addict obviously begins to violate their own value system because they are impaired mentally. So, they have less inhibitions. There is much more possibility of sexual promiscuity, of violating their marital vows if they're in a relationship. They are much more likely to let people down, to make have broken promises, to say they're going to do something, and because they get drunk or they get high, they don't follow through. So gradually, the person that they were before they started becoming addicted is no longer there. Now, you'll often hear in treatment, if somebody was an asshole before they became an alcoholic or addict, then they're probably going to be an asshole until they change their lifestyle. Now, if you look at that from a broader view, most people become less than they're able to be and more nasty because of certain events in their lives. And they may be using alcohol and drugs to manage that perfectionism, that shame, that depression, that despair. So when they get into recovery, there's going to be that litany of feelings that they have to deal with. That's also true of the codependent. The alcoholic does not wake up one morning and decide to be an addict any more than the co-addict wakes up in the morning and decides that they want to start controlling the addict's life. The disease progresses in both of them, but that doesn't mean that when the two partners get together, their process is not already in effect. So the co-addict, the codependent, has been operating that way for years. And the biochemistry of the alcoholic or addict has most likely been there since birth. Some situation then triggers it. In one of the videos earlier, I talk about the progression of the essential wound. And that discusses how we all have that first moment in time when we experience the world as unsafe. Now, that evolves and becomes a default coping mechanism. In response to that, we make certain decisions, we have certain emotions, and every time we interface with a situation like that throughout our lives, that default coping mechanism gets put into action. That creates stress in the body. When we have stress in the body, we produce an abundance of adrenaline, we produce an abundance of cortisol, and those debilitate our immune system and our ability to respond in 1,000 different ways that the biochemical impairment factor really addresses. But the point here is that there's a progression. There's a progression for the alcoholic addict, there's a progression for the codependent, and it begins far before they hit bottom. Things have begun to break down. One of the most common things is they look at their lives and they're no longer the person that they know they can be. They come up against something that they are about to lose that they are not prepared to live without. And as they begin to unravel that, they see how they have violated their own value system. The codependent sees how they've allowed themselves to be treated in ways that they would never accept. The alcoholic addict sees how they have violated their own moral ethics because they have been compromised because of the chemicals. So in today's sequence, we're going to begin to deal with acknowledging that, establishing the desire to do something about that, and to really reinforce the conviction to do something about that. The first step is to even identify that, to very painfully admit the shame and the grief and the guilt and the despair that go along with really acknowledging who we've become in response to this progressive deterioration. So again, I invite you to join me. We'll do the setup phrase first. Even though, in response to the progression of this disease, I have violated my own value system, I now choose to admit that fact, to humbly admit that that is the case, and that I really want help. So even though I've spent many years violating my own value system, I really do want to do something to change that around. And I want to start now. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I want to commit to change now. All right, so now let's do the sequences. Violated my own value system. My God, what happened to me? I never used to do things like that. That's not who I am. My own value system. It went out the door. I'm acting in ways that I never thought I would act. My word is no longer good. I lie to family and friends. I lie to my coworkers. I try to cover up how much I'm using. I try to cover up how much my loved one is using. I try to hide the truth because I'm so full of shame. I am so far off the mark. I have violated my own value system with broken promises, with empty threats. I'm no longer the person that I know I can be. I'm so full of despair, shame, and disgust. I want to change this around. I want to change it around now. I want to step back in to the person that I can be. I want to do it one day at a time. I can become the person that I am. I can deal with all of this shame. I can get the support that I need to become the person I know I am. I deserve to get the support, to allow the support that I need. And I choose to do this now. Thank you, thank you, thank you.